Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the interweb. As you can see, the face cam's going to be transparent, so I don't exactly fully interrupt the video that's being presented behind me. So with that being said, today's video, we're going to be, well, second video, maybe third, who knows. We're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077 and the importance of the resurgence of cyberpunk culture. Cyberpunk culture technically began with manga. Alita Battle Angel, Ghost in the Shell, Akira. Those three are kind of what took the sci-fi formula and brought it into the futuristic dystopia that we call cyberpunk today. And that kind of died for a little while. It's been a very long time since we've seen solid, good cyberpunk action. I think around 2016 with Deus Ex Machina, I'm pretty sure that's the name of the game. That game kind of changed everything when it came to how we look at cyberpunk. But the original trailer to Cyberpunk 2077 is what made everybody have faith in cyberpunk in general. This is what brought the resurgence of cyberpunk back to life. And of course, I don't have to tell you that Cyberpunk 2077 is the most highly anticipated game of next year. CD Projekt Red is releasing this right after they just released The Witcher back in 2015, which may seem like it's been a long time, but it really hasn't been that long. So to say that there's a lot riding on this game is to kind of say the least. Everyone is excited about this. I don't think there's many people who aren't excited about it. But what does that mean for the importance of cyberpunk culture? Well, first off, this game and things similar to it, whether it be Altered Carbon, the live action Ghost in the Shell, whatever you may want to say, it has brought up a whole new, I guess you could say a whole new dawn of cyberpunk and people interested in cybernetics. I mean, in the near future, I think it's next year, maybe the year after, Elon Musk is releasing the Neuralink. The Neuralink will basically be the first big transition in becoming cyberpunks. It will be able to take our human organic brain and give us something better, give us something smarter, faster. You could reanimate people who have lost mobility from their waist down. You could change how, like mental disease is taken care of. We will be creating a whole new world for people to live in due to cybernetics. And as long as things like Cyberpunk 2077, Ghost Runner, and all these other things that are coming out cyberpunk related keep the people going, there are going to be people popping up that go into computer science or ICT specifically to make this stuff, and I'm one of them. I've recently changed my major. As you guys know, I'm no longer a game design major because one, a degree in game design, like, it qualifies you to work at McDonald's, and two, that's about as good as it gets, McDonald's, if you graduate with a game design degree, and I don't want that. So I switched my major, and I'm gonna be working in doing this kind of crazy stuff. I will be creating this. I will be the ones making Cyberpunk 2077 a reality, and that's exciting. But what does that exactly mean when we look at cyberpunk culture as a whole, outside of just the technological, futuristic stuff that we'll be getting in the very near future? You also gotta look at it when it comes to film and television. Film and television cyberpunk is just going crazy right now. There's an Altered Carbon anime coming and a season 2 to season 1. That is kind of crazy when you think about it. That show popped up and it just blew out everybody. And we got Jesus, of course, in cyberpunk fashion. So that's pretty cool. Like, Altered Carbon is going to bring even more people into Cyberpunk 2077, which is kind of crazy to say even as is, because Cyberpunk 2077 is already like the epitome of cyberpunk culture. This is going to help bring a whole lot more things that we should all be excited about into not only gaming but our real life world. When you look at the resurgence of cyberpunk, it's kind of crazy. At one point Naughty Dog was making a cyberpunk game, but they canceled it so they could make Uncharted 4, which ended up being the worst Uncharted. So I don't know if that was a good trade-off. I mean, it did well financially, but it was not a good Uncharted game. It was the lowest ranked Uncharted game at that time. No, which is not to say it was a bad game, it just did not feel like Uncharted did not live up to the first 3 games. So maybe Naughty Dog will finally make their cyberpunk game after the success that Cyberpunk 2077 will have. That's always a possibility. Cyberpunk 2077 is pretty much going to change the landscape of pop culture in general. We're already starting to see it with random things from Netflix to what Disney's doing to what Marvel and like their comic books are doing. We're able to see this in films outside of Disney, outside of, anything that we'd ever understand. as being big films, we're seeing this happen in indie films. We're seeing this happen in fan films, student films. Everybody's rushing to do Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is probably going to be the new superhero. At least for the next 10 years, Cyberpunk is going to be what everybody wants, and it's probably going to be a very long time before something overtakes Cyberpunk in popularity. I'm not saying Cyberpunk 2077, I mean Cyberpunk in general. Think about it before now. The closest thing we got to getting a Cyberpunk game was Prey 2, which was cancelled and turned into the Prey 2017 reboot, which is known as one of the worst reboots of all time. So, we've been robbed of Cyberpunk several times. One of the most popular multi-platform games that are on Microsoft and PlayStation is Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human had a phenomenal cyberpunk-esque storyline. There was robotics, there were cybernetics, everything that you could want in Cyberpunk without the great big buildings. That was what Detroit Become Human was. And if you throw it back a couple years earlier, there was Watch Dogs 2, which is technically Cyberpunk, but not technically Cyberpunk. Everything is like kind of cybernetic, kind of just computer controlled in that world. It's quite interesting when you really look at it and start understanding how futuristic and above that game really was. Is that going to be our future before we get to something like this? Most likely. But Cyberpunk in general is going to just create that future for us. The popularity of Cyberpunk culture is going to force that future into it. We're entering a really interesting time. This will not be my final video about Cyberpunk. I plan to introduce it as a mainstay for the channel. I'm really excited for this game. I have the collector's edition on Xbox One, the standard physical PC on PC, of course. It doesn't come with the disc, it just comes with the game code. And then there is, of course, the beloved PlayStation version, which I'm probably just going to keep closed and just keep it in box just to look at, because this game is going to be crazy. I'm going to want to have at least one sealed copy of it somewhere. So with that being said, are you excited for Cyberpunk? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Try not to die, and I'll see you in the next video.